Hello, and welcome to this session on creating quick views. Within the Dataforms area of Perspective, views can be created for populating the listing pane with a list of records that can be viewed and possibly edited. In this session, we'll take a look at the three links within the navigation pane of the Dataforms interface that allow for the creating of quick views, selecting saved views, and viewing all records. Although demonstrated in the incident data forms, the process described for creating a quick view is the same for any data form type. To begin, we'll look at how to create a view based off of the criteria of your choice. Click on the Quick View link at the top of the navigation pane. In the window that opens, we can start by clicking the Add button and give our view a name. We're going to build a view that will show all incidents reported in the last 90 days. Next, we need to decide which workgroup records should be included. By default, the All Workgroups box is checked to include records for all of the workgroups that you have access to. If you want to limit your view to the records of a particular workgroup, we can uncheck the All Workgroups box and check off the specific workgroups that we wish to view records from. In the Criteria section, we can specify up to 4 fields to filter this list of possible records that will be displayed. In the top field name lookup list, we can select the field that we want to use to set as the main criterion for narrowing our record view. In this case, we're going to choose the reported date time. Once the field has been selected, we need to choose the appropriate operator for the criteria that we're adding. From the operator list, we have options such as equals, greater than or equal to. The operators that we have to choose from will vary slightly depending on the fields that we have chosen. Then, in the value field, we need to enter the value for this filter. Again, the method for data entry here will vary depending on the field that has been selected. In the case of a date field, this will automatically populate with today's date, although this can be adjusted as needed. We may also use the calendar option or manually type to change as needed. You also have the option to choose the floating date checkbox. When checked, this will change the value so you have other options to choose from, such as today, yesterday, or the previous 10, 30, 60, or 90 days. If the view is to have multiple pieces of criteria, we need to next select the appropriate AND or radio button to unlock the next field name line and make another selection. Keep in mind that selecting the wrong option may result in 0 records being displayed in the view. For example, if we're choosing another piece of criteria, it's most likely that we would choose AND. However, if we're adding criteria around 2 different class values, we have to choose a value of OR between those 2 fields. Because an incident can never have more than one class, it's either criminal or non-criminal. Same with site, it can either be site A or site B. Therefore, we need to make sure we select the OR radio button when we're adding more than one line of this type of a field. If we make the mistake and select an incident record will never have a class of criminal and non-criminal. Therefore, we'll have 0 records displayed in this selection. Once all of the criteria has been added, we can choose to display the order for our record view by selecting a field from the Order By lookup list. This list of values will also vary depending on the data form type that we're building our view around. Next, we can select to display this list in either ascending or descending value. And if this view is going to be looking for possible archived records, we need to check the Include Archived Records checkbox. If a record is archived, it would be invisible in the listing pane to all users, no matter their security settings. Finally, we can click on the Preview button to preview the list of records that meet the criteria that we've just set. It is good practice to use this Preview button to see what is displayed and use it as a verification process, especially if you have multiple pieces of criteria, to make sure that criteria is set properly. To save this view in the list of save views, we can click on the Save button underneath the view name towards the top of the window. Also, if you wish to make this view your default view, this record view would then automatically load each time you enter this data form. We can check the Set as Default View checkbox again underneath that view name and then save it again. If you wish to save your view as an XML or a text file for possible sharing later on, we can click the Save View As button and then select the location to save this file. You may also export this view to another user. When the Export via Email button is clicked, An email window will open, allowing you to enter the email address of the person or persons to send the view to as an XML file. Just note that this process will not allow other users access to records that they would not normally be able to see. Record security still does exist around these views, and users will only be able to see the records that their security settings permit them to see. If another user has sent you a view, you can click the Import View button and browse to the location where the file is saved and click Open. In the Saved Views link, you will be able to see a list of all of the different views that have already been created and saved. Also in this window, we'll be able to see behind the view name in brackets, we can see which view is our default view. When we select that view, it will populate the listing pane with a list of records that meet that criteria. In the Saved Views, you also have the option to quick edit. The quick edit will allow you to modify the criteria that's been set or add additional criteria if you haven't used all of your lines. You'll be able to change most of the settings here with the exception of the actual view name itself. If you do modify the criteria of a view, there is also a refresh option within the Save Views link that allows you to refresh the view and update the list of records based off of your newly modified criteria. Lastly, the All Records link, when clicked, will populate the listing pane with all of the records that the user has access to. Please note that this may not be all of the records in the database, just the ones that you have access to see. Also, it is possible that this link may be hidden as set by your prospective administrator.